A fairy book land of myths and veils, guarded by imposing castles, embodied by the crown. This tiny island that once ruled the world has had a complex relationship with India.
The diaspora that have come from India into the United Kingdom have made a huge difference to this country.
There's 10,000 businesses here in London run by people from within the Indian community, and many of those businesses are very large businesses.
In sports, in business, in art, you name it, Indians are reaching the very top.
As London sheds slumberous sleep and raises its face to an eastern dawn, Atul Kocha, chef extraordinaire, starts his day at the centuries-old Billingsgate Fish Market.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you?
All right, thank you.
Good to see you.
The first Indian chef to receive the coveted Michelin star, Atul's restaurant, Benares, breaks new ground, combining British ingredients and Indian flavors.
I love British mushy peas and I love mushy peas from India, which is from Benares actually. They call it Nimona. I have done the same flavor. And the Britishness comes from by adding a little bit of cream while crushing it so that it just gives a nice smooth blend. And it goes well with my fish. The tomato looks amazing. It's a very British plate with Indian flavor.
If Atul brings a taste of India to Britain, giving Britons a fresh look at life itself is Lord Swaraj Paul, who helped save London's iconic zoo.
It was a good 20 years or so that he made a very large donation for our children's zoo, and he asked for it to be in memory of his daughter Ambika.
A place where Lord Paul sees the same joy and laughter that he once saw in Ambika, who loved to come here as a respite between grueling bouts of cancer.
Zoo has become a very sentimental place from my point of view, because I do this thing. I have dedicated my business to Ambika. I mean, I think she's just a guiding hand.
A popular landing place in England is Leicester, and representing this multicultural New Britannia is Keith Vaz.
I think the Indian community has achieved so much in a very short space of time because, one, this is a culture that is strong and productive. Secondly, because they've been dedicated, hard-working, they've not relied on benefits. And since we recently discovered that Prince William may well have Indian blood in him through a previous ancestor, I think that's going to help enormously. I always thought he was a cousin of mine, and now I know he is.
Cousins or not, the brotherhood goes back to the world wars, where Indians and Britons fought shoulder to shoulder.
The size particularly of the contingents from countries like India, which exceeded 1 million, are just breathtaking, really.
We did come and stand by them when they most needed our help. And why do you think people have come here? Why do you think the immigration started? It started because of the war.
Devastated by war, Britain appealed to men and women from across the empire to reignite the economy. Their success helped change the way Indians were viewed.
There are huge hotbeds of Indian support for cricket, and it's good to see them coming through and playing in the county game.
We've got to put some mark there. We've got to put some footprint there. And I think it was a very nice for the Oval to give us the place for India to become very popular.
In the land of Oxford and Cambridge, education has always been a favoured preoccupation, which is why many of the diaspora's philanthropic efforts revolve around increasing access to Britain's world-class universities.
We focus more on some traditional subjects like law, economics, pure science, philosophy, literature. But we then moved into the arts because there was very little funding for the arts. And we don't just focus on Oxford. We've been sending people to Oxford and Cambridge and Imperial and SOAS.
Exploring Western music or adapting it to tell your stories, define your identity. The options are endless, as Swami, a band from Birmingham, proves.
We are on Soho Road in Birmingham, which is the closest you can get to inside of England to being back in India.
We're bringing these ideas of fusion together in a new way, in a pop way, in a way in which it truly represents us growing up as Indian people, but being very much British at the same time.
Ready? 1, 2.
I really think that they represent everything that's great about Birmingham. It's got that Indian, that cosmopolitan feel, with fantastic production and just a great modern sound. I love them.
1, 2. It gets you like dancing, and you can't just sit still while you're listening to it. You have to like move and stuff. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm mixed race, so I'm half Punjabi and half English. So I grew up very kind of conflicted in a sense about what my identity was, and doing the music that we do, it allows me to kind of feel complete, and that I'm not just focusing on one half of my ethnic heritage or the other. I get to be both.
There is no longer this idea that Britishness is necessarily white British. Britishness is made up of all sorts of cultures, including the Asian culture.
India's vibrancy has changed the UK, and that's all to the good.
The links between India and the UK go back many, many centuries, and that's why we have a natural empathy with one another.
I'm very proud to be a Zoroastrian Parsi. I'm very proud to be British. I'm very proud to be an Asian, an Indian in Britain. And I think that having that pride in one's roots and being close to your roots is very important, but also to integrate in the community in which you're living in.
There's one music I really love, that's, should I sing it? Tum paas to haaye, you muskuraye, tumhe na jaane kya, sabne dikhaye, apuro mera dil, jaane kya hota hai, byah kar raha hai, kuch kuch hota hai.